My clock is 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we start tonight, I made a kind of mistake on the agenda, and I need somebody to make a motion to swap 4 for 5 and 5 for 4. I was going to change it Thursday night, but nobody was in the office, so.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we'll do it after roll call, okay? You good? Okay. Councilor Dow? Councilor Ortiz?
Present.
Councilor Shenya? Here. Citizen Member Derek Julian?
Here.
Citizen Member Roland Larochelle?
Here.
Number 3 is accept a donation of $1,170 in 1170 donation from Laurel Ridge Incorporated, otherwise known as Solar Recreation League of Woodstock. Chief.
So, thank you, everybody, subcommittee and councils that are here. Shane, you don't have to stay because you just have to wait.
Do we have to make a motion in a second first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
that's
sorry.
right.
I'll accept and make,
Go ahead.
someone make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor? No, listen, I'm new at this, so you better remember. Discussion, Chief.
So, thank you. Yes, we received a donation for 1170 from Laurel Ridge, which the chair has correctly said, and I wrote it in my memo. Solar Recreation League. We sent an emergency ambulance over there probably about a month ago. I received a check in the mail from them saying for a donation. Just like to accept the donation. We'll use it for some sort of firefighter equipment or EMS equipment as we move forward in the process.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, there's no need to, you can vote on it, I just wanted to make a correction. I mean, Mr. Chair. Just, Solar, Recreation League, any motion? Spelled wrong. Should be league, not like that.
Yeah, it's just spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Just making sure it goes on the town council correctly.
Thank you, Dave.
Anytime.
Thank you for your visual.
Just saw it,
Okay.
that's how smart.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to change 4 for 5 and 5 for 6.
Okay.
I'll
Somebody
second that.
Discussion. As I explained, I made an error, and it should have been the opposite way around. So, all those in favor? Opposed? So voted. Okay, the next agenda item is going to be review and discuss the possibility of relocating of the dog kennel. This was brought up, and I put it on for the chairman. Go ahead.
I requested this,
I'm sorry. We'll make a motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion.
there's been much discussion over the dog kennel. It started out as a money discussion. We had to find $200,000, and we were talking, I talked with Charlie and the councilors, and the money was gonna go forward. The bid came in at $900,000, was short on it, a little more than what we thought.
We're not on that agenda yet.
Yes, sir, yeah.
I
we
thought we
changed
just
it.
flipped it.
Yeah, we're at the relocation. We're not at the 200,000 going in.
No, that's
I
what we're talking
understand
about.
now, let me finish. So in the discussion, more discussion took place on why is it there, and the discussion said we have a better location for it, and if you're gonna spend $900,000, you know, it would be natural to put it at DPW on Gulfwood Road. A freestanding building, the sewer and the water goes right by the empty lot on the backside, outside of the fenced area, and there's plenty of room there. The security's already there. The gas fill for the truck is already there. It's the same, about the same distance from the police department as far as, you know, housing the dog officer and stuff like that. Maybe should actually move over to the kennel. In talking, I talked with the chief and I talked with the ACO, and she turned around and said, just go take a look at it. I go, if we're gonna spend $1 million, you know, and Southbridge is good for this, you know, we go and put it where it doesn't belong. And then after we own it, and, you know, the water line that's coming from the school to the shed, that's what they're gonna use for water for the building. the sewer has a grinder pump, okay? Your antiquated building is more expensive to adapt to that building than it would be if it's a freestanding building. We learned that through the fire department. Do you want to renovate this building, or do you want thatch or freestanding building? So I mean, when you look at it, and then once we looked at it, I know some of the councils went down and just said, go look at it, just before we spend $1 million, look at it. And you know, and everybody looks at it and says, why wasn't this the first shot? And I don't know. I think they started under Danny Charette, and it went to Chief Woodson. Different donators have donated to it. We also have other donators that have talked to us about even thinking about donating more. So moving forward, if we want to move it to the DPW, I think it's worth a shot at looking at it and not just jump into it and spend $1 million on it. Just an opinion.
Eric?
Is there already some kind of design drawn up where it's going,
Can I
or?
speak to all this before we?
Right after these.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I got you. I thought that's why I was here. That's why, yeah.
Good, chief. I'll yield to you.
In all due respect there, no. A lot of the stuff that's gonna be asked, I'm gonna get into, right? So that's why I kinda wanted to just leave it, and we can do whatever you guys wanna do. For some unknown reason, I'm the face of it, I don't wanna be the face of it, so I'm fine. So I'll say this quickly, and the chairman already kinda alluded to it a little bit. 15 years ago this started. Most of what I'm gonna say is already on the record once, but I wanna get it on one more time. Just so when it's changed, it's not on me. About 15 years ago we started, the building gets condemned. 2016 we start conversations with Baypath. Baypath's gonna do this project, they're gonna cut the cost in half. Some of the staff at Baypath, one of them is a Southbridge resident that we all know and love, he's a great guy, he retires. They kind of lost interest a little bit. COVID happens, now they really lost interest. Baypath is so far behind on construction right now, they couldn't give me a timeline on when they could do this project. So we moved on and go to Plan B. Plan B, quickly, Town of Oxford, everybody in this room knows. They're kind enough to let us use their space. It's about $500 a month. We got an agreement with them. I just went to their chief's retirement party a couple weeks ago. That's who we had the agreement with. So right now we have an agreement with Oxford, but how much longer before they raise the rent on us, I don't know. Right now we've got more animals there than they have. Right now, in addition to that $500 a month, so if we do the math, that's $6,000 a year, and a couple of councils have heard me say this too, in private conversations and in public. We're in the hole about $20,000 a year to maintain that kennel space, and that being our ACO currently driving back and forth to Oxford a couple times a day, gas, wear and tear, her rate. More importantly, is she gets overtime when she comes out at night to go feed all these animals that we have in Oxford, because Oxford certainly isn't going to go and feed those animals for us, and this is including weekends. So again, we're talking about $20,000, give or take, per year to keep using this Oxford kennel, and that could go up depending on what the town administrator in Oxford decides to do, now that we don't have the same relationship with their chief. In 2018, the current location was suggested by our former town manager, Ron Sanangelo, and our former assessor, Will Canoia, zero to do with me. They brought this to me, they said, you're gonna make something work with this? Very well, then I'll get it done. The schools were sent a letter saying they were in support. The town council talked about this for hours and many, many meetings, and it was voted yes at that particular point in time. I spoke this morning with an engineer and the architect, and they said minimum cost of increase, and I know some of you in this room could probably build that building in 2 weeks. Private, I'm saying, private company, very smart construction people, they could absolutely get that done if I needed it at my house, it was a private job. But what happens is, you gotta realize that with the bid process, and I'm sure the town manager can touch on this later, and how everything has to go out, and unions and prevailing wage, the cost gets driven up. So I was told this morning, you move that building, it's about $500K more, plan on it at least. So right now we're at 900,000. I'm being told by an engineer and the architect, it's gonna be about 1.5 million, give or take, if we move it. He said the biggest thing is the utilities that are currently in that building. And again, the construction people in the room know a hell of a lot more than I do about this, but this is what the engineer is telling me. So I'll defer to them with their expertise, but I just want you to hear me. As far as electricity, sewer, water, it's all a connection. They said it's very easy, they do it all the time, there'll be no issue whatsoever. Half the building's already up. And if this thing gets bid on, 6 months minimum, 12 months max, it'll be up, run, ready to go. 6 to 12 months. Other towns are looking to regionalize. I talked to the chairman, and I think I talked to you, Council Shenya, about this. I've been contacted by other chiefs who are sick of dealing with animal control. They don't have any real buildings in place. They would regionalize. We could perhaps get payment from them. We could make some money. Well, in the long run, we'd make money on this, regardless of where it is. And again, I understand a lot of you in this room are very skilled at construction, and you can get it done in a few weekends, and that's fine. But you gotta remember, again, the bidding process, the unions, the prevailing wage, all the designs, everything we have to get done. Out of all this, and this big speech I just gave, about 190 grand so far, out of the $506,689.88, about $190,000 has been tax appropriated money, courtesy of the capital budget and planning over the last couple of years. 190,000 out of 506,000. All the rest is donations from companies. It's through ARPA money. And the thing with ARPA is, and I believe the ARPA chairman, Councilor Adams, is here tonight, that money's gone if this building's not up by 2026. And McClure from McClure Engineering told me today, you're a couple of years out. If we sack this and decide to start something new, we're a couple of years out. And again, I know you guys can get it done quicker, and I know there's other issues, but I'd like to just say, and I want to be on the record here, we're good. Let's move in another direction, but someone is going to take on this construction project, other than the police chief. If you see on our Facebook post, I'll go on that road, about 10% of what's really going on in this community is on that post, and there's a lot. So we get a lot of things going on, like me building and now moving and changing. It's getting a little, it's been years now. I took over in 2016. Charette started in 2009 or 10-ish, and it's just been going on and on and on. Either way, I don't care. Put it in front of the PD, but it has to go somewhere. We need a plan, and Council, I know the chairman agrees, we spoke. We absolutely need a plan, something needs to happen, but you, as an elected body, voted on it once. If we shift gears now, just understand, we're taking a risk because of the Oxford issue, we're taking a risk because of the money issue. Yeah, right now, if that job's bid, yeah, it's $1.5 million. How about if it doesn't get bid off for another 6 months, 8 months, and we have some other catastrophe going on in the world, and the cost of everything skyrockets again? So just something to think about. I wanted to be on the record so you could hear me speak to it, and vote with it what you may or what you will.
Derek first, then Scott, then Joe.
Thank you, Derek.
No problem, Chief. So with that being said, we're looking in the next agenda item to get $200,000 just to get us to the $900,000, right?
Why, right now, I believe, I don't know if the manager will
A little bit more. I believe I have to speak with the manager. The $200,000 is a little bit more than what we needed, but because of the HVAC and that kind of stuff, that 900,000 is gonna, that additional 200,000 is probably going to be needed as a contingency also. Am I right?
Yeah, I can go over that if you want.
Okay.
So that's just gonna get us close to the $900,000.
No, it'll give us enough contingency to move forward. As the chief said, prior to the last vote the town council had to appropriate $250,000 free cash before this project was bid, the town had $506,689.88 available. So then we added the $250 to it because we thought it was probably going to come in over $700 rather than the other number we had. And so actually, we got 4 competitive bids, and so I think the bids are correct for this project. And so we have a deficit right now of $143,621, but we didn't get any bids on the HVAC. So we used the allowance that the engineer had, the architect had, of $60,000 in that bid. Our experience is that it's probably going to come in higher than that. So I figured probably another $20,000 on that. So that would be, we'd need around 160. But again, then there's no contingency. So with the 200,000, we would be able to cover the unknown real cost because we don't have any bids yet for the HVAC portion of it. Plus we have a contingency. So with the 200,000, we have $956,689.88 available, and so we would have roughly $56,000 to use for any addition to the HVAC over the $60,000 allowance we have and continue.
So like I said, it's just gonna get us above the $900,000.
It's going to get us up to build a project.
The chief just expressed that if we move the building, it's gonna cost 1.4 to 1.5. Where's the other 500,000 coming from?
You done?
You ask your question or you
I'm asking a question. Where's the other 500,000 coming from?
And this is, excuse me, Chair, this is the chief is just a guess. It's no paper, no plan, no bid on it, so maybe less than 900,000, could be 700,000, so we're just guessing in here.
Okay, so where's the extra coming from?
Well, no extra right now, they're just assuming.
I don't buy that $500,000 increase. The economy drives the pricing, and I understand it's gotta be paid to rate and everything. And I understand we have an antiquated building that we're attaching to, but we also have a recreation area over there that needs that building for storage of their equipment and stuff. Right now, they're looking to put another can over there. Typical Southbridge approach, just put some more trailers. So for myself, after I got done talking to the dog officer, there is not enough land for an outside area for the dogs. Where at DPW, there'd be plenty of area for the dogs. And as far as the pricing, I understand the chief's got a lot of time, he tied up with this. I would have no problem appointing a building committee like you would do to any other town building. Instead of it being all over the place, we should have had a building committee from the beginning with builders on there that actually know something about building, and then we wouldn't be discussing it because they probably wouldn't have sent it over to the recreation area. I talked to the maintenance director in the school district. He thinks it's foolish to take down the gazebo, they utilize it, but then they say, Valada said it's okay. Well, there's a guy I would listen to. Look what he did to the school system. So you know myself, everybody from out of town wants to come to South and tell us how to do it, and then we own it. I think we need to stop, take a hard look at this. You have an area that has security gates, gas pumps, I mean, tremendous amount of square footage out there for the dog kennel. It's not near a school, it's not in a recreation area, and it's not in a residential area. Don't know how it was an oversight.
Chair. Follow up on that. I can follow up through you. I 100% agree with you. 100%. I just want to know where the extra money is going to come from. Do we have a plan for that already?
We don't know that that's extra money.
I'm not saying it's going to be 500,000. I'm just, that was the estimate. I'm just saying if there's extra money, where are we going to get that from?
We have people that want to donate more money to that project,
Okay.
okay? Now,
So it's going to come
do
back
I
before
think it's
us.
gonna go higher than $10 million? My guess is no.
So it's going to come back before us with a plan before this
Absolutely.
goes.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I want to know.
Council Dow, then town manager.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I was the bigger support on that same location, and I voted yes in the past. But after I met with the maintenance of the school, he says bathroom sewer pump come to this building to the middle, and water shut-off valve come to the middle too for the school. So if the dog office is not there and you have a dog storage there, whatever, in emergency happen, who's gonna enter that building with dog? It's in the middle of the center of the building, and there's a cover on top of it. Who's gonna go in there with all dogs and stuff like that to shut off that water or the pump overfill, all the dogs, whatever, you know, it's just, I think after I hear and listen to that guy, take the gazebo down, the school barking, dogs, I mean, like they say, the fire department was 27 million people fighting, whatever. Now is less money. What was the budget come from? So, Chief, I agree with you. You're frustrated. You're taking the dog to Oxford. It's not right to go to a different town paying, but I think we need to do it once and correct. Making money in the future, I'm with that. I'm pro business. I'm pro money. So I agree with you. You need a bigger place if you want to expand. Different dog officer come to our town. They don't have to go through downtown next to our school. It be security gates in the DPW. Certain people have the far to go in, the safety thing, whatever, and a plenty place to expand in the future. Will cost money. Nobody argue that. I think a little bit more patient. We get our best location. We don't have to feel bad in the future. We wish we did it somewhere else. Look what we're facing right now. Thank you.
Town manager?
Well, I just want to clarify one question. I believe that the chief referred to the fact that in that 506,000 are ARPA funds. So ARPA funds have to be spent by, totally spent by what, 20?
December 31st and 26th.
Okay. So in other words, the design would have to be done out to bid and construction within that period. So that's the time frame you'd have if you want to use there's a 200,000 you spent in from ARPA?
Yeah, I think it was.
Right now, yep.
Yeah.
Councilor Montagny, then Councilor Hazel.
Thank you. Okay, so that's good to know that there's still over 40 months to complete the project. Did someone say somewhere that there was not enough room outside for the dogs or something? Is there like a constriction at the Charlton Street location, maybe through you to the chief, when they came back with the bid, some sort of society wasn't happy. I thought I heard something about that.
Nope, through you, Mr. Chair, I was at the, when the contractors were on site looking at it, and no one mentioned that once, and there's a representative from the school department there that, and I'll speak politely publicly, but they've been against it since day one, and that's okay, but they don't have any legitimate reasons, because several were brought up at that meeting, and the construction people had looked at him and said, like, almost like, you're crazy if you think these are gonna be issues. We do this all the time. This is not our first time. He left. He was pissed off because it didn't go his way. Tried throwing all these reasons why he shouldn't be in that building, and all the construction people on site, well, like, we do this all the time. We can easily tie all these things in. This is not gonna be an issue at all. So I would say, again, Mr. Chair, originally I was on board. I would have loved to go to the airport. And when the chairman of the council suggested the DPW, I think it's a fantastic idea, but my issue is, it's a great location, there's no doubt about it, where it's being considered. But my issue is the timing. So here we are, we've got about, I don't want to give you the wrong numbers, we've got $23,420.62 into McClure Engineering already for services to prep that area at Charlton Street, drawings, designs, HVAC, electrical, and all those other things. So you've got to plan on at least coming out of the gate, right, another $25,000 to redesign another facility, another spot. So I hope we're sitting here next year or in 2 years and Council Dow was right, that the cost is a lot less. But I feel pretty good when Chris McClure is telling me you're talking about a very expensive building if you move that. And I think that's what's going to come down to, and that's fine. We'll all be here, we'll all work together, we'll get it done. But I just think the town needs to have the stomach for it and brace for it, coming in higher than $900,000. Because I don't know enough about it, but I'm being told with people that do it all the time in the field, this is what it is for a municipal building.
Well, just to close up my comments, and I guess I originally, last year, I thought the DPW location was the water sewer, but apparently it's the real barn. Both locations have a lot better room and space for the dogs, in my opinion. The DPW barn is where I personally would like to see it, especially if we're gonna regionalize. Sounds like everything is still a pretty tight fit as it is, and then near that school and the cemetery and the recreation area, now you're gonna add a bunch of dogs from multiple towns. It's very cluttered, and it's, dogs don't, it's a prison for dogs, right? Isn't that what it was at one point? We don't need that in the middle of all those nice things, especially when the school can't do their job right. It's Charlton Street anyway, so, thank you.
Council Hauser.
Capital money has to be spent in 3 years. If we can't get this project off in 3 years, we're not worth our salt. I don't care what bid procurement we have to go through. Appoint our town manager, and this council will push that thing through, and we'll make it a priority and not put it in the back seat as other councils have done. So I think if it's a priority, I know it'll go to the top of the list, and I know it'll get done and spend that money at time. So, with all due respect with McClure, I talked to the dog office. I thought, what do I know about dogs? So I know I don't want it in a rec area, because I was there when we did the rec area and built those buildings and did all that stuff. And there was all kind of plans for the bathroom for the citizens, and they were going to flood that area, going to be skating. Now with pickleball, we're going to take it over. It's supposed to be a recreation, not a dog kennel. So moving forward, I really do have a lot of faith that this thing's going to come in. The economy's going to cool down. You're going to get better pricing, and that's the way I'm looking at it. If the sewer and water were not there, I would say okay. But you have a mechanical sewer line compared to a gravity fed. Nobody wants a mechanical sewer line. Just on the expense of running the building, running your grinder pumps and everything else you need. If you got a gravity fed, you flush it, it goes in. So I mean, there needs to be some homework done on this. And that's why I think maybe a mini building committee with builders and people that have that experience, when they go into a design that talks to these engineers, and maybe you could do something a little different in this building, not to make it such a $900,000 building. Because some of the building material in it, some of our local builders thought, why are they doing that? You're pushing the cost up. So I think a little new eyes and ears on it might help it out as far as even the type of building they're building. So going forward, whatever the council decides, I've been very strong advocate of the DPW bond and not the recreation area.
Anything else? Dave?
Just, thank you, Mr. Chair, just real quick. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm not opposed to placing over the DPW lot, but I gotta tell you right now, there's plenty of room for the dogs to run around. I mean, if it's anything like Oxford, there's plenty of room. I've been there multiple times. It's very safe. I mean, you gotta be a freaking idiot to get bit by a dog walking around that area. All right, so it wouldn't even be an issue with me because they own all that kind of stuff, and they've been talking for years to utilize that facility over there, and nothing's happening. The pickleball is a fad. It'll go through its time. Can't play it during the winter time outside if it's snowing or ice, whatever it may be. I have no problem taking a look at this, but we keep saying we can get it done. We can get it done. Now we're at a cusp of getting it done, and it gets stalled again. Progress has been stalled once again. And I'm going to tell you, I've already heard it from some councils. We already have the votes, and we'll move along and all that kind of stuff. So it is, maybe I'm just spending a hot air. But I will tell you this: 5 years, right? So if we do this, and I'm just looking at the math, 20 grand a year, next few years, we're talking close to $100,000 that we're spending over in Oxford. So we're paying them. We're taking care of all that issue. Town manager may come and go, chief may come and go over there in Oxford. They may turn around, sit there and say, we don't want you here anymore. And now where do we go from that point on? The engineer's gonna cost us a lot more money. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be more than this. I'm not a construction guy, but I mean, we're already spending more than that. At the end of the day, we're gonna be spending more of that just housing our dogs, waiting for a decision to be made. I'm all about a building committee. If you wanna do it, I say you set a timeline, you set benchmarks. The RFPs that went out to the town manager, is there a time frame we have to sign off on those? We're both formed off? The RFPs for the dog kennel
Well, the contract.
contracts, yeah.
We'd have to award the contract by August 15th.
All right,
To
so.
go with the bids. I mean, the bids are only good for 30 days.
Okay, so, at the end of the day, I know we're gonna be spending a lot more money than we're talking about right here. It's gonna be taxpayer money, and all I keep hearing from the council is cut the taxes, make sure we don't spend on more money on things that we don't need to do, and then all of a sudden they hear this comes along. And, got it, maybe you should have been at the DPW lot the entire time, who freaking knows? But I gotta tell you, the councils before moved this forward finally, just like the fire station after 100 years. So we're in the same boat. Another council come in next year after like that, and say, well, we really don't want it there, we want it somewhere else. So I want everybody to take that in consideration. I would love to see benchmarks. You want to set up a building committee? Good, set a benchmark, set a date. This is when we want it done by. If that's what the council wants to do, set a time frame to get it done. And the chief has spent a lot of hours dealing with this kennel. Absolutely take it away from him, but he and the ACO obviously have to have their input on what it's going to look like. Thank you.
Councilor Dow, then Councilor Lazo.
Thank you, Chair, through you. It's not about we have the vote or not. I hear it lately a lot. It's about doing it right one time. Not rush, last minute, we don't have time, we're gonna lose, and we do things wrong. And then later on, we have to refix it, re-spend money, redoing it. Chief, you got all our support. We know you're doing the right thing, and we're gonna do the right thing too. Next to the school, something happened, dog got loose from the dog officer or from that kennel, and the kids outside getting out of school or something happened. What we will face if that dog attack a couple of kids? Just a question. Don't tell me it's not gonna happen. It will happen anywhere on earth, not only at that location. At the DPW, it's a wood, they can run in the wood, it's a fence, it's a safe place. A little bit more patient. We do it right. In the past, I don't think you chose the DPW because it was buses parked there. It was a DPW director doesn't care. It's all about himself, pretty much. Doesn't want to do work. Is always behind. Is always is a lack. Let's say it that way. The money you say you're gonna save or spend more for a new building actually is gonna break even, because if the engineer really not screwing the town will look as the old building, the one he want to reconstruct and take something out and update it, same plan, you just go up a new building. It's not really gonna cost a lot of money. It's gonna cost a lot of money if you use the old building by taking thing out, updating, reconstruction, rebuild, but then come build the new walls, a new electric, a new panel. I work in the construction 20 years. This is my actually my job before being a repair shop. I do that. I have a license. I'm a union carpenter. I want to trade for that. So I think a new construction is better from buying one and rehab it and make an addition more cheaper, I believe. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
as far as the dog and the space, our ACO is the one that made that call for me. I'm not gonna sit there and say, it takes, I go to the recreation area, oh, there's plenty of room there. Well, somebody gonna once you put the building there, I'd love to know where the space is. Because in looking at the blueprint and applying it to the square footage, the dog's gonna have to run around the paved area where the pickleball courts are. That was supposed to be a recreation area for that, whatever it is, whatever the town wants to put in it. And then, as far as timing, if we would've done this right the first time with the building committee, you wouldn't have waited 15 years. You wouldn't have to do what you're doing now. Again, to Councilor Dow's point, hurry up, the bond's on fire, let's get it done. Let's do something better than doing nothing. Well, there was an election, there's a different mentality now. We're not in a rush, the bond's not on fire, and we are gonna do the job correctly, and maybe put it with, common sense would tell you where it belongs. Why we lack the common sense when the location of the site amazes me. And I am in the building committee, in the business. And nobody in the building business is gonna tell you to put mechanical sewerage in a house. They would rather have it gravity fed. You're looking for problems. Thank you.
Anybody got anything new? If nobody has anything new, it's gonna be my turn. Derek?
So, I think we should vote on this, and pending plans and price coming back to us before anything else happens. Can we amend to say, review and discuss the possibility of relocating the dog kennel pending plans and price coming back in front of us?
Well, I don't think at this point in time, we need to either decide we want to move and relocate and allow the chairman to set up with the building committee, if that's what his plan is. Our business tonight is to decide whether we want to relocate the dog kennel.
But even if he puts a building committee together, it still has to come in front of us before it gets voted upstairs. That's all I'm saying.
The final construction, just like tonight.
Right.
When they brought that.
That's what I'm saying, pending plans and
It'll come back
price.
to us. I don't want to, myself, I don't want to tie the hands. I want to,
Good.
go ahead.
My point is, tonight you're gonna be voting $200,000 to go to the dog kennel where it is.
Mhm.
Well, if we're deciding to relocate to a different location, I would vote no on the $200,000 till we come back with an actual plan.
That's what I'm saying.
With plan, deadlines, and timeframes, where we can move forward. I don't think you have to amend the motion, but if you'd like to, I'm fine with it.
Anything new, Dave?
Yeah, just, I agree with Scott here. I would absolutely say no to the 200,000 right now, because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
But if you're gonna, why don't you come back and have another PPP meeting with some ideas, and that way it can come up to the, you're gonna have to rescind the vote that's going up to the town council. You're gonna have to do all
It's
that.
what I just said.
Okay.
I just said pending plans and price coming back to us.
But it has to come back to you guys
Right.
first before it goes to the town council.
One thing that I like to say is that I was opposed to the location as a citizen. I got up at council meeting and spoke that. The other thing that I'm opposed at is the amount of time that this chief has put on the project. I would hope that he no longer has to do that and take the responsibility off his back. He's got a department to run. If the chairman's gonna put together a building committee, I will support that move to relocate. So if there's no further business, I will entertain a motion to, let me just make sure, make a motion to relocate the dog kennel to the DPW facility.
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you have to be a little clearer on that directive. We went out to bid, right? We're not gonna follow through with the bid, right? So I think it really has, the directive has to be, vote not to award the bid for the existing project and relocate the building. Because you're not gonna award the bid now.
That's the next one.
But you're not gonna award the bid, so you have to, are we, what is the direction of the council? The direction of the council now is not to proceed with the current location on Charlton Street for the dog kennel and recommend that it be relocated.
Mr. Chairman, how would you like to go on the agenda? How would you like to word it?
I do agree with Jack Jovan as far as there's an action that's gonna take place. If you wanna put it into the motion, I don't have a problem with that. But if we're gonna relocate, that action will die on the vine.
So we're looking to, again, you guys.
I mean, if
make
we
a
put it up,
motion.
if I put it up on the agenda to vote to do the kennel, and the council votes not to do the kennel at the location, the problem is we're trying to get direction on where do you want this kennel to be? And it seems to me the more people look at it, the more they wanna go with it. So that's why your motion is simplistic, as far as if we're relocating it somewhere else, that bid is dead.
So the agenda we're on right now is review, discuss the possibility of relocating the dog kennel. I want to make the motion to say review and discuss the possibility of relocating the dog kennel pending price and plans to come back to us. The next agenda item, yes, we'll reject the bid and not approve the 200,000.
If you just pass the agenda item that's on there now, we have to go back to the drawing board. We're not gonna just turn around and take this building and go stick it on another lot. We're gonna have to stop, it's gonna die on the vine as far as the contract not gonna be signed.
Okay.
Because the council is given a different direction.
Okay.
Now, you are gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back for the appropriation. You're gonna have to come back for drawings. Is it a viable site? I mean, there has to be a little homework done before we say we're gonna build it. Nobody builds on a lot unless you know it's gonna perk. Whether you got a well, there's certain criteria even to say you can move there. The criteria looks good because the sewer and water runs through the easement to Challenge Street. So where this building would be situated, it would be a very short water sewer line that would gravity feed.
Gus?
A couple of things. One is, so where exactly on the DPW lot are you actually looking to put this camera? A, and B, the question to you to the manager is, are there any legal ramifications of backing out of the bid once it's already been issued and they've already been bid on?
No, not at all. In other words, if you take no action on the next item, over the 200,000 from stabilization, then that's the end of it. We have no money to do it, we'll notify them that we're not awarding the bids, and that's the end of it.
We'll make the motion in a second, so.
But,
And what about the first question? Is there,
well, I mean,
where are
certainly,
the DPW lights?
we have contamination there. I mean, there are areas apparently
I'm
that can
concerned
be,
about that.
but it has to be really considered. So, in other words, I think it's gonna be several months before you get any numbers that, Derek is looking for
Correct.
as far as the cost and that. You're gonna have to hire, somebody to survey the site, come up with a preliminary design, come up with a cost estimate, then decide to go forward and do detailed drawings. I mean, you're building a new building now, it's not gonna be this building moved there. And so, you're gonna have 6 months to a year of hopefully getting to the point here where you're ready to go out to bid.
Motion has been made to relocate the dog kennel to the DPW facility grounds. It's been seconded. Any more discussion? Councilman Keddy.
Well, let me just vote to relocate from its Charlton Street location to the DPW.
So I think that motion is obvious.
Yeah, the motion
If
is
you're
there.
relocating, that means you're not gonna get the other.
Right.
Well, I just don't think any specifics.
It's, Councilor Lazo, you spoke to the DPW director, he informed you that the sewer and water line is there.
The easement goes, when we built the high school, we looped the water line, it goes through the DPW barn, and it goes through the Challenge Street. Again, vote to relocate it means to do that homework and moving forward on it. Right now, it looks good. So, without going into further, I mean, we're saying, where's it gonna go in the DPW? If you drive in that front security gate, and you look straight ahead, and you look where the red trucks are, a little storage area, DPW guy said, once we take care of the hazardous material that's on the lot and grade it off, we're gonna have double the storage area off to the left. So in the plan, you're gonna be so far back, you're gonna be almost into the woods. with the building. But again, when you look at a plot plan, you can actually situate the building and put it on the plot. Once you draw the plot plan, then you do all your calculations on how far is the sewer line, where is the water line. It's in the easement driving right by the building.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Four, Roland, did you go with it?
Yeah, everybody said
Okay,
yes.
it's unanimous. Number 5, recommendation for appropriation of $200,000 from the stabilization fund for the new animal control facility. Say that. Discussion. No discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, guys.
Smile, can you?
Oh, so many.
Very soon you'll be smiling again.
Number 6, we got the building inspector and commissioner. They're here to discuss number 6, which is 18 to 30 Mill Street. And they're also going to give us an update on 30 Charlton Street on article number 7. So I'll open the floor up to you gentlemen.
Need a motion in a second.
Through you, Chair.
Hold
Second.
on.
I have a
Motion
motion
move.
to, a motion's been made,
Second.
seconded, to open up discussion on 18 to 30 Mill Street.
All right, through you, Chair. 18 Mill Street. I was notified last week from one of the business owners over there that we had some of the facade was falling off into the courtyard, which is surrounded by A&M Tool and Green Meadows. I posted the building for the second time, sent out the letters. Today I went to DPW, I picked up some fencing, and I fenced in the area. Following through, I went to the treasurer's office to see where we stood because there was initially a tax title on this property, and the town had moved in the direction of possibly taking this property last year or the year before. This pile here is the phase 1 assessment of the building when the town was considering moving forward with a grant to rehab the building with the owner. The owner provided the phase 1 assessment. When we went to move forward with the phase 2 assessment, the owner shut down, wouldn't allow us on the property. This went back and forth till April. In April, they decided that they just dropped it and they were no longer going to pursue the phase 2 report. So at this point, I've been taking pictures periodically of the building in certain areas where the facade is getting really bad and breaking loose. So through my discussion with the treasurer's office and trying to take it with a tax title so we can move forward on fixing some of this or tearing down the building, she informed me that the owner of the building had filed for bankruptcy. So by him filing for bankruptcy, it puts a stop on the tax taking. However, it still gives us the power to make the building safe. I spoke with our tax lawyer and he told me that we could still fence it in. However, I need more clarification on whether or not we can move forward and take down the building or if we are only allowed to fence it in. So.
Ed, you got anything?
Honestly, I know the building, I know the structure on it. It's been in disrepair for a number of years. To make it safe, that's number one. You know, you guys don't want to be liable for anything that happens over there.
So are you looking for something similar to Sacred Heart, or vote to authorize the Director of Inspection Services, if the public safety so requires, to enter upon the premises with the necessary workmen and assistance and cause such unsafe structure to be made safe or taken down without delay, and a proper fence be put up for the protection of the passbyers or to be made secure pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 143-Section 7 and authorize the town manager to sign all documents related to there? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion? Counselor?
When you talk about taking a building down, you're talking about taking the whole mill down?
No, the sections that are,
And disrepair?
right, gotta make it safe.
Yep.
Derek?
So for clarification, for the townspeople that are watching and myself, because nothing was in this packet, what part of the building are we talking about?
There's a
Multiple areas around the building, the facade is coming loose. It's not just one area of the building, it's all the way around. You can find things that are wrong with the building.
So it starts at the building just after the bridge, all the way down around the corner?
Yes.
The whole
It
thing?
starts right at the courtyard where Green Meadows and A&M Tool is. That's the section that was falling down last week that I had to go and fence in this week.
Okay.
In the back section, I know in the back parking lot, there's a big section of wall that's been collapsed for years. So, you know, it's been an issue for a number of years.
Okay.
Gus?
I mean, at the moment, I'm kind of putting my hat on for the first time to where it felt. I took a look at the property this afternoon as well, and it is a mess. I mean, just to be clear, what he's talking about is the section that's all, basically the large swath of property before you get to Green Meadows. It's that front building there. It used to have the ADC performance center in it and the bar and top and second floor and that kind of stuff. And there are broken windows all over the place. Although that's the one spot that has really visible bricks falling down, they're on the ground now. I mean, Mike showed me the photos of the chunk of the building where people are actually crawling in and out of it and living there, or have been in the past. You go around the back side, you can just look around it, there's all kinds, the place is a mess. It hasn't been maintained for a really long time. Mike had gave me the opportunity to kind of thumb through that document there. I didn't bother reading all hundreds of pages of it, but I kind of thumbed through it for the report that Peg had gotten on the building from 2020. And there's all kinds of problems inside that building. I mean, it's a mess.
I just want councils to...
That report is something we had authorized Peg to do when I was on the council. To look at when we were looking at whether or not we wanted to either take over the property or otherwise do something with that property for the Globe Village work down there. And I wish I had seen when we actually, when the report was done back then, but we never did. But the property is not in good shape.
Okay. Christine?
Just to make sure that we all have the sequence of events, that actually was completed when Rosemary was in the director position, when she was working with the property owner, and the property owner was the one that actually got the phase one in advance of doing an auction on their property. And when it went to auction, they didn't get prices high enough for them to accept any of the bids, and so it continued to sit. It wasn't until I was in the economic development role that I then tried to pursue the Brownfields Phase 2 site assessment. We got the funds through Mass Development to do the Phase 2, but as Mike said, they were masterfully stalling in court. They would get agreement with us in front of the judge, and when we tried to get it in writing, they wouldn't provide it. We went back and forth, and then the game continued until suddenly they're in bankruptcy and they're protected. So we tried we tried through the means that we had, but our hesitancy was obviously that we didn't know the condition of the property and didn't want to take anything in advance of knowing the environmental contamination.
Talking to the town manager last week when Mike brought this forward, just want councilors to understand that it's going to be an expensive proposition in the event if we go forward with this, and we need to go forward with it as far as I'm concerned for the interest of public safety. But we as councilors need to be prepared for that it could be an expensive endeavor. So I would entertain a motion that we vote to authorize the Director of Inspection Services to recommend to full council to vote to authorize the Director of Inspection Services, if the public safety so requires, to enter upon premises with the necessary workmen and assistant and cause such unsafe structure to be made safe or taken down without delay, and a proper fence put up for the protection of passbyers or to be made secure, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 143, Section 7, and authorize the town manager to sign all documents related to related there too. The only thing I would like to add to it is that we direct the building inspector and the commissioners to not end up with a situation like we do at Sacred Heart that's gone on for months and months and months
Yeah.
and nothing being done. So I'll entertain that motion
Can I ask you?
in a minute. Entertain a motion. Second?
Second.
Are you amending that to what you said, or are you gonna
No,
go
just,
right
just
with
this here, just here.
Okay.
I should know it was more of a statement.
All right,
Maureen,
you made the motion.
I just want
Joe.
to, I'm not sure exactly where it is. You're saying the front, but I know Conservation has done things when Green Meadows had their generator put in back, and I'm not sure how close this is to the river. I know that whole mill site is pretty close. We've built things very close.
This is the section that's closest to the bridge.
Eric,
If they're just repairing the building, there's no problem with that. If it's tearing it down, that's a whole nother
that's gonna
discussion.
have to come back here.
That's
That's a
what
whole
I
nother
was
discussion.
talking about tearing it
Yeah.
down, yeah.
They're just talking about repairing it right now,
Okay,
unless it has to be torn down. If it has to be torn down, they have to come back in front of us.
okay.
Right. Gus,
Thank you.
Yeah, when I was talking to Mike, and I don't know if you had a chance to look into it, but you were talking about the about getting some basic gist for pricing for fencing versus tearing it down.
Correct, and I had gotten called out, we had a fire in town this afternoon while I was making phone calls. However, I do have a price already for fencing in Sacred Heart Church, which is probably half of the size of what would have to be fenced in. And the price over there was $1,600 for 4 months at a time. Is how the fence company would bill if we have to pay to fence in Sacred Heart. So I would figure probably double that because this is a much larger building. It's a much larger area to cover.
And how would we, as far as fencing goes, how would we make sure it was safe with both Green Meadows and the other company there on that end, and the other company that's around and back there? When you've got that extra access on the side.
Yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
You got fall safety zones that you have to follow.
Right.
There's areas that we have to,
I think it's-
Honestly, I would really like to see Ted and I, and maybe the council, to come and do a site visit and actually mark out the worst areas. I don't necessarily feel that the whole building needs to be fenced in at this present time. And we really gotta come up with a plan, because you can't just fence in the end of the building, because that parking lot and driveway accesses the businesses in the back. There's multiple businesses that are all attached to the same, as one structure.
I think by giving the building inspector this authorization starts the process, and he would get back to us and hopefully recommend for us to do a site work and those kind of things. But this gives him the ability to start the process, which we need to start now. Any other further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. The next one is agenda item 7, and that's this update on Sacred Heart Church. I did go and asked about this because last week I went by there and the fence was gone, and some other councilors have seen people roaming around the property, and before somebody's get hurt, I went to see Mike. Mike went down there. On this particular project,
I'll make the motion.
okay, make a motion.
Make the motion.
Make a motion. Second. Okay, you know what? We're all learning here.
No, I
so-
know. I'm just saying.
Just want you to
I
understand.
want to make sure we're doing things the right way.
I think you should say.
You can discuss with one motion.
Right.
Work with it.
So,
Agenda
to
item.
go back on this has been going on since June of '22. The guy has came back before council on January of 23rd of '23, and he also came back just recently and made us a bunch of promises. Council on 3 occasions have given Mike the same order to do something. He has the order to do something. So even doing a little bit more research, we issued the permit for him, and McCall, Town Manager McCall, waived the permitting to pay the back taxes. He waived that. Just for a matter of information, I got the tax from the tax office. He owes $40,810.06 on 30 Brochure Street. He owes $41,192 on 52 Charlton Street, and that's including some of 30 and 40. He owes $25,552 at 40 Charlton Street, and he owes another $21,979 at 52 Charlton. Some of the property is already in tax title, and he hasn't paid anything from what we can tell by the records since he took ownership of the property in 2019. Now, the last time he was here, I believe he said he was going to continue leaving the fence up, and he was going to start making payments on taxes, and he's done none of it. It's also understood that the fencing that he put around there isn't to protect the towers from falling down. All that fencing does is prevent the bricks from falling into the street from the tower. So for me, time is it's enough. And I think we need to take some action. Counselor?
And this is to the building inspector. To my knowledge, the council voted to give you the go-ahead, and if he did not follow through with his promises, that you could pull the trigger without another council vote. And correct me, because you were there. We were patient one time, we're patient the second time. The third time we voted to give him the ability to catch up and get some bids, and we ran into winter time. But we said, if he doesn't come out in the springtime and do anything, then take those towers down. I thought you were already empowered to do that with the vote of the council. Now, when the fences disappeared, I was driving by, and there's a guy like pulling on the door. And I'm looking at the towers, I'm looking at the guy, who was just a citizen. I was like, oh my God. I think something's gonna happen, guys.
That's not
It was gonna get killed.
Mike?
So at our last council meeting, it was brought up that we gave him the opportunity to bring an engineer, design a repair, to make a temporary repair, but we never gave him a timeline as to when we wanted a permanent repair done. At that council meeting, it was said that we would go to a PPP meeting and we would discuss it and set a timeline. And I was asked at that council meeting what I thought would be a good timeline, and I said October. We never came to the PPP meeting to set an actual date and time. That never happened. So if you're saying I have the authorization to take it down, I wanted to take it down the day it started falling down. So
The key is,
that's where I'm at.
The key is we went through the building. Mike and I both went through the building with him. The issues aren't only the towers.
No,
That whole structure is in such disarray, and it's falling pretty much everywhere. So, knocking down the towers is a temporary solution, if you're asking me.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is the rest of it's going to start to deteriorate, and water's going to get into it, and it's going to start blowing the rest of it apart, which is already falling apart to start.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to pull the trigger on it, pull the trigger on it.
I have no problem pulling the trigger.
Put it on the ground.
If PPP wants to recommend the council to spell it out, we'll spell it out.
Yeah, and that's what needs to be done. He's had ample time. He hasn't taken any steps to do what he should have been doing. And, I think enough is enough. Because before somebody gets hurt, when somebody does get hurt, and everybody's giving him so much time, guess what? Now we hold the bill for it, and that's not right.
Derek?
In my opinion, the council already said it was a go, and their recommendation is to take the whole building down, which I agree, because I had spoke to Mike about this a few months back, and he said that the rest of the building is deteriorating. If that's it, I want to make the motion to send this to council to let them pull the trigger and have at it.
Thank you, Chair Tree. It's not about tearing down, pull triggers. I vote no. Last couple of meetings we went to the council. The last one you came in and you say he did everything we asked him. Engineers say it's not dangerous. I don't know if I remember correct.
Yep.
That's why we left it at that, because you came to us and say he hired an engineer, this is his stamps, engineer stamp, now the engineer responsible, we are clear. I believe you're here right now because he removed the fence.
Yep.
And still brick fallen from the side of the building and is not safe. I don't want to go ahead and pull triggers and you have a paper from engineers with the stamp saying the tower is not dangerous, and then we get lawsuit or go after us, then we're gonna have to pay his tax and build a new building for him. I believe the last time he came